So we're here at Rockem Sockem Retro, and we have probably the most unique accessory in, well, as John said, the owner of Rockem Sockem Retro, probably the top 10 rarest accessories for any game console. And it's not a game, it's the Multipurpose Arcade Combat Simulator, M.A.C.S, for the Super Nintendo. This was actually made for the military so they could practice shooting. Yes, this is a M16 peripheral for the Super Nintendo, and we're gonna hook her up and have a little bit of fun here. So let's check her out. Subscribe style. Warning, this product is to be used by the United States government only. It's not to be sold, copied, or altered. For further information, contact TSC at Fort Benning, Georgia, 706-545-6162. I wonder if that phone number still works. Let's call it. So here is the specialized simulated M16 rifle light gun that was made for the M.A.C.S Multipurpose Arcade Combat Shooter. And you can see it's very realistic, and it does have the real weight of an actual M16. It feels like a real weapon. It was designed as such. Now this thing came with a 50-page manual, and it showed you everything you possibly needed to know about it, calibrating it, the parts of it, etc., etc. But I wanted to bring your attention to one thing here. This thing actually came with a television. Yes, so everything you see on this page is what came new in the box with it. Now, of course, this thing was made for the U.S. Army, and it wasn't for just the general public to purchase. Now, on pricecharting.com, the cartridge alone goes for $1,526.50. Complete at $6,841. New price $22,884. Graded $25,173. That's a lot of cash. The box only for this was $2,741, and the manual, which we actually did not have there in the shop, we had a PDF. It's $1,713 for that 50-page manual. Well, it's good it's got a nice long cable, because, you know, if you had to buy an extender for it.
That's what she said!
So there's John, the owner of Rockem Sockem Retro. Thanks, John, for letting me come in there and check this thing out. And he was about to sell it to someone that he knew. And interestingly, if you look at the manual for this thing, you really have to take your time calibrating this. And we're standing up doing this. Now, he had it working on a 13-inch television, and then the 13-inch television died. So we're trying it on this 20-inch television, and one thing that you are instructed in the manual is you should have it on a level surface, and it should be like right with the TV, in line with the television. Now, I'm like 6'5". Here I am standing 9 feet above this thing trying to shoot down at this TV, and it's not exactly working. Now, I didn't ask John if standing up, if they were doing it before, but you know, they had it calibrated precisely correct before, and it was working fine. But for us, it was not working. Now, I thought it's possible it could be the TV that we're using. It's also possible that it could be all the stuff I have hooked up to it, but I doubt that because it's just a Super Nintendo, and I have it running up to my computer and to 2 different TVs. So I thought, well, it has to be the fact that I'm in the room because electronics just hate my guts. So that's probably what it is. But no, we also saw that there's physical ways to calibrate the light sensor there. And so we were having a hell of a time trying to get this thing to work properly. And he's just like, well, it worked, you know, it's worked several times before. And I'm like, it's me. It's because I'm in the room. And he even said, he goes, you know, we should be sitting down to do this probably. So what are you going to do? Now, the main reason why I even wanted to check this out is because, well, it's a very, very rare peripheral. Probably one of the top 5 rarest peripherals ever made for the Super Nintendo. And this thing was not made available to the general public. It was made for the U.S. Army. I'd like to read this to you. This is from patriotswithguns.com. This is an article about the Multipurpose Arcade Combat Simulator, M.A.C.S. M.A.C.S was originally developed for the U.S. Army as rifle training before using a real gun. The game was made to play with a realistic weight and feel rifle. In the game, you shoot at various targets with the rifle and must learn balance and trigger control. If you miss, the game tells you where you missed and why, so you can improve. It's very similar to duck hunt type light gun games, but the gun is much more precise and the gun is realistic instead of a toy. Now, interestingly, doing a little poking around, I found out that there were 3 different versions. There was the basic rifle marksmanship program, the moving target simulator, and the multi-purpose arcade combat simulator. Interestingly, on price charting, the moving target simulator is loose $4,999.99, complete $14,000. It's 15 grand, and new it was 48 grand. It was 48.5 actually. Graded it's 53, and that's the moving target simulator. So that one's even rarer than this one.
Freeze, gopher!
Now I will just show you a little bit of what was going on when we were trying to calibrate this thing. It just would not line up with the boxes or with the reticle. And we even sat down, and as you will see in a minute here, to try to do that, but it just wouldn't work. But the actual screen looks like this when you turn it on. Multi-purpose arcade combat simulator for basic rifle marksmanship. You know, here's all the stuff they're telling you, oh, you know, squeeze the trigger, breath control, etc., etc. And then they're telling you a little bit about what you're supposed to do, zeroing in, and then you're going to see how basic this is. I can see on a PlayStation 3 or 4, but I just don't see how anybody would get any kind of real training benefit from this thing. And maybe they did. I mean, you know, I'm no military strategist. When you have to read the manual. When all else fails, R.T.F.M. So that's what we did, and we did find out that we're supposed to be level with the television, but there are tons of different calibration settings for this thing, including physical ones. And me being 9 feet tall probably doesn't help.
For rifles and light guns manufactured by other companies can be obtained at
Hey, give me the phone. You guys got any more of these? No.
I'm sure someone has called.
Some nerd called over here. He spent $12,000. So at this point, I decided I'm not going to turn on the game capture anymore. You can see my computer still there and it's still running, but I wasn't even going to bother unless I got the thing working right. There were tons of calibration settings, and also the light gun on the top there, you can even physically manipulate it with a screwdriver, and I wasn't going to mess around with that because this is just, number one, it's not my thing. Number two, this is going to somebody else. And number three, it's expensive. So I was just happy to lay hands on it, check it out, because it's a rare item. Now, is this for everybody? No, I'd rather be playing Duck Hunt. But it is really cool to actually check something out like this and be able to bring it to you guys. And of course, you know, I get to screw around with it and you get to make fun of me all you want because, you know, that's what Game Closet's about, you know, making fun of me. I'm just going to shoot some holes in the ceiling. Why not? There's nobody upstairs. Okay. I don't want to fire anymore. We're going to call it a day on actually trying to make the thing work. So here's a close-up of the Super Nintendo and the televisions and my computer and, of course, of the M.A.C.S basic rifle marksmanship program cartridge. And, yeah, give Fort Benning a call there and see if they've changed the phone number. I'm not going to call them. But, hey, thanks for checking this out. Sorry we couldn't get it to work, but you know what it looks like. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like Game Closet's videos, hit that like button real quick. Please consider subscribing and sticking around for more videos. There's a ton of fun and funny stuff here for you, so click one of the boxes on screen and I'd be happy to show you more in Dr. Scott's Game Closet.